Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe, if you dare.
I worked at a grocery store with a bakery. The fresh-baked bread was fresh-baked, the fresh-baked garlic bread was the bread that didn't sell yesterday with garlic butter on it. Hey everybody, welcome to AskReddit. People ask Reddit. What does your job want you to hide from customers?
Number 1.
My old boss invented a fake employee that he would blame all mistakes on when speaking with customers. Once in a while, he would tell the customers he fired that imaginary employee and then come up with a new name for a new imaginary employee that would be the new sucker.
Number 2.
I work at a place that makes artisan French fries. For the last year or so, we've advertised plain old red potatoes as Laura potatoes, which are similar but 100x better. A red potato is red on the outside and white/starchy like a russet on the inside. A Laura potato is red on the outside and gold, buttery smooth, all around awesome on the inside. It's implicit, but we're pretty much encouraged to just lie to people. We only got called out once when an actual potato farmer came to eat there, but other than that, we mostly get away with it. The injustice of it all.
Number 3.
Worked at a bike rent shop where we told customers we sanitized the helmets we rented via heat treatment. Heat treatment consisted of having some sorry-ass high schooler run up to the top of the building, essentially the attic of this old wooden structure, and just leave them in boxes, or, if they were wet, hung from nails to drip and dry.
Number 4.
I used to work in a jewelry shop that sold cheap Chinese shit silver/gold painted plastic jewelry, none of it being real metal, but every sale I had to upsell one of these $5 polishing cloths. You can't polish a turd, the only thing this cloth did was rub the cheap paint off the plastic faster. I felt like such a con artist.
Number 5.
Commenter. Worked at a restaurant that also did catering. People would come in for tastings regularly for things like weddings and we'd give them samples of some of our food. The big thing at these tastings was the cheesecake, which was made in-house to be served in the restaurant and was pretty great. What we didn't tell them was that for catering events, we bought pre-made cheesecakes instead. I think they were Marie calendars. Basically we'd sell them on our cheesecake then give them something less good that was easier/cheaper for us. Honestly, we were stretching ourselves a little thin with catering. It was always a mess trying to get all the food prepared as well as run the restaurant. We had one chef who worked every single day and the waiters doubled as caterers, sometimes working long wait and catering shifts back to back. Person B. I worked at a hotel that did this too. I was a wedding planner, and always had to deal with the wedding party complaining the day after that the food was different to what they had tasted. Management did not give a F. Was not fun.
Number 6.
I work at a shoe store, and we recently got a shipment of clearance sandals, aka years old sandals they had shoved in some warehouse. As I was putting them out I noticed some had green stuff all over them. Mold. We were instructed by the corporate to wipe it off and sell them anyway. Luckily my manager is sane and refuses to put out the moldy shoes, but still some sketchy shit.
Number 7.
Worked at a nursery, plants, not babies, that sold Christmas trees in winter. We had to have 2 employees per customer in the lot at all times. One to talk to and distract the customer, the other to hold up the particular tree they were interested in and shake the rats out while said customer was distracted. Basically these people were buying $50 rat nests to put in their house.
Number 8.
I worked in the vegetable seed industry. Some varieties that were exclusive to certain customers were just repackaged and renamed seed of an existing variety. If something was underselling, they just changed the name, rewrote the description and claimed it was a better, sister line. It was always funny though when customers demanded the old line because the new one wasn't as good. We just shrug, changed the label back to the old name and off it went.
Number 9.
I worked at an art glass store that sold glass, mostly made in China with very few actual nice pieces. We were told to peel the made in China stickers off. If anyone asked where the glass came from we would say New Jersey, which is where the supplier was from. I always felt like Danny DeVito in Matilda changing the odometer on his used cars.
Number 10.
I worked in car rental in Ireland. We weren't supposed to sell the extra insurance to Spanish or Italian customers, because they are not known for being great drivers and often damage the cars. Much more profitable to only sell insurance to people who won't use it.
Number 11.
I worked at a popular chain sandwich restaurant in the Chesapeake Bay region. Many customers would order the crab sandwich, which was on our local menu as seafood sensation. The mixture was just thawed imperial crab, which is just fish and mayonnaise. We were told not to tell customers that it lacked any actual crab. It was also foul-smelling and plain disgusting. Edit, first of all, RIP my inbox. Secondly, it was indeed Subway. I'm not sure why I felt like being ambiguous. Thirdly, I'm not knocking anyone for liking it, but I will say that it was not popular and we did not often refill our stock of it. There were often times where we would finally empty the bin of it, only to pull it on the cold well and see that it had expired. Again, expiration dates don't always mean inedible, but in the case of fish, it can be risky. Also, at my particular Subway, we would turn the cold well off an hour before close to allow for the ice to thaw off the walls so we could clean it without our rag freezing to the metal. Take that as you will, but it probably indicates a strong lack of temperature regulation for most products.
Number 12.
For a very short period of time I worked for an animal hospital. Their anesthesia machine hadn't been inspected in 10+ years, so the owner just gave the animals a shit ton of ketamine. They also regularly overbooked surgeries. Many animals died on the table there, and the owners would make us come up with a story about the animal having a heart defect or sensitivity to anesthesia. The vet once forgot to declaw a cat, just forgot, and I was told to tell them it was because the animal didn't tolerate anesthesia well. It was a shit show of horrors, and I left as soon as I found another job. Edit, no, I didn't report them. I was young and naive and an idiot. But within a few weeks after I left, someone reported them and they were all over the news with various lawsuits, so they did get theirs. Edit 2, I agree, declawing is barbaric. Can't say I was upset when that left claws intact. I have 2 cats that still have claws all the way around. However, the point wasn't how I personally feel about declawing, but that I was told to lie to a client.
Number 13.
Commenter. I worked at a grocery store with a bakery. The fresh baked bread was fresh baked, the fresh baked garlic bread was the bread that didn't sell yesterday with garlic butter on it. Edit, it has been pointed out to me that this is how it is normally made. My main point was that we were told not to inform customers of this and tell them it was baked fresh that morning. Person B. Wow, that sounds just like the bakery I worked at. Haha. The bread wasn't fresh. Sure, it was fresh baked, but it's not like we made our own dough. We just got everything frozen and put them into the oven. The garlic butter is legit what we had too. It came in buckets and all we had to do was cut the loaf in half and smear the spread, pack it in a nice silver package and label them. If we had too many leftovers fresh garlic bread, we'd throw them in a box in the freezer and use them next time.
Number 14.
I work in a meat room at a grocery store. One of the shitty things that our butchers do is when chicken expires they season it and reprice it. I've questioned them on it before, but they told me that the seasoning lengthens the shelf life. Also, they pretty much don't care to use meat that's dropped on the floor. It all falls back to if we don't make enough money, then our hours get cut and we get paid less.
Number 15.
Restaurant worker here. The photo album is, literally, full of pictures of the GM and other faux managers posing with the rats they shot with the restaurant-owned pellet gun. Long story short, this was a very old restaurant built into a hill in a nice coastal town on the central California coast. The main building, which housed the kitchen and 2 of the main dining rooms, was probably 80 years old by the time I was working there, so there was an established rodent problem. Anyhow, after service was said and done for the night, and the cleaners were done cleaning, the managers would leave the hood vent and the lights on and establish a line of sight that ran about 150 yards along the pantry kitchen, a hot line, dish pit, and into the prep kitchen. The story goes that they would grab a bottle of whatever they wanted to drink and post up for hours drinking and killing rats. I vividly remember a picture of the GM holding a dead rat by the tail with this huge shit-eating grin across his face. Priceless.
Number 16.
Stanford Hospital. If you're a VIP or a rich patient who they identify as a potential big donor, they'll give you a special red blanket, and then you get better treatment, a specialized care team, your own private room, a case manager assigned just to you, a spiritual care manager, and better food. Oh, and you get free parking. Then they assign a person whose whole job it is to cultivate your relationships, groom you to become a philanthropist to the hospital. There's an entire department just for this.
Number 17.
At one spa it was the clocks. They didn't want clients to see what time it was because they would make us cut their massage sessions, so they didn't want them to know they were being cheated. At my last spa, our aromatherapy we charged extra for wasn't even real aromatherapy. My boss didn't want to pay the money for real essential oil, so they bought fragrance oil, or worse, flavors used to usually make lip balm.
Number 18.
I worked in a mid-upper scale chain restaurant once and we had raw sewage back up through the drains in the kitchen. It was Friday night with an hour wait, so I guess the manager didn't want to lose the money because he didn't close the restaurant or tell the customers, putting them and us at risk. We literally had to jump over raw sewage in the kitchen to get to the food. I was like 16 and didn't really know what to do, but one of the bussers snapped photos and sent them into the health department, not sure what came of it if anything.
Number 19.
I worked as a delivery driver for this Japanese restaurant that had 2 locations about 10 minutes apart. We only had one delivery driver on duty at a time and we were not allowed to tell the customers. What sucked about that is that both restaurants had a delivery radius of 5 miles and sometimes there would be a delivery order at the other location which was only like 1 mile away from the house you were supposed to deliver to, but really it was a longer drive for you since you were like 5 miles away at the other location. Not only would you just get a $2 delivery fee when it should have been $5, but then you had to deal with people angry that their food took so long when they thought you were super close. On top of that, when you were working as a cashier, the only tips you were allowed to keep were the ones left on the table. Any ones left in one of the 2 tip jars we had, or written on credit card receipts in the restaurant, went to the owners and not us. It felt nice when people would tip us because we provided a good service, but then it felt shitty that you wouldn't see any of that money.
Number 20.
Worked at one hotel before moving to the one I currently work at. The government requires hotels to count how many rooms are sold a month so that the hotel gets properly taxed. The new owners we got skimmed that number by roughly 50 to 100 rooms per month. Apparently it's easy to get away with that. But it gets worse. He would hide the fact that house cleaning was restricted to 10 minutes per room, so things were constantly missed. One person found 3-day-old steamed vegetables under a TV stand. We had to hide that from other customers. We would find cocaine in the bathrooms and had to say it was sugar. If anything even slightly went wrong, we had to cover it. This new owner was so bad that he even took everyone down to minimum wage, which is why I left. I ain't taking a pay cut, and then hired a person with 2 violent felonies and 1 theft felony to work the desk. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.